ladies and gentlemen, Jen Wong! young man, right? I'm quite a fan. Alright, excited? Yeah. So the table is, there's one table that's very excited to see you, which is that table over. Yeah, they researched you today. Yes. So they know everything about you. Yeah, that's it. Okay, can I have my phone? My script isn't there. Okay. So I'm gonna introduce Jen to you, and then after that, I would start the ball rolling with one question, and then I think you guys have some questions?
Oh yeah.
A lot, huh?
Sounds like there's more than one question.
Yeah, a lot. We came up with brilliant questions. So then when I look at my question, I was like, I think let's ask their questions. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly give you a short intro, okay, of who he is, okay? Of course, one table very knowledgeable about him already. So I'm going to read you, okay? Number 1, Forbes 30 under 30. Everybody go, wow! Wow, this one is wow, huh? 2 times Entrepreneur of the Year nominee by Ernst & Young. Top 10 new generation business leaders to watch in Malaysia. Amazing. Okay. And then we have 3, okay, this one I finished reading first, okay? 3-time TEDx speaker, panel speaker on BFM, spoke over 1,000 stages to more than 200,000 texts to date. Very impressive. Now you can clap for him. Very impressive. But most of you do not know, he is an introvert. And he is a bootstrap entrepreneur since 17 years old. So he started his business 17, 8 different ventures. Now he's the founder of Open Mind, based in KL, Singapore, Hong Kong, China very soon. Congratulations! It's a 12-year marketing tech consultancy serving Fortune 100 companies globally. Impressive? We need that part for you guys too. Alright, so this guy is a living legend, right? Somebody that can learn from. So I have a basic question first. How did you end up getting Forbes 30 under 30? What was the journey?
To be honest, it's a pretty long and wild journey. I've never planned to be Forbes 30 under 30. People that have heard my story before, I started off, my dream back then was just to open a computer shop in Lao Yat. That's about it. Locals, you will know where Lao Yat is, right? That was basically my dream, full stop. I never thought about TEDx, being on Forbes, making all these things, right? But I think over the years, this whole speaking thing kind of brought a compounding effect, right? So it started really small. Maybe I will share a little bit later on my first stage and all that, right? But all these were compounding sessions that was at, and more opportunities and doors open one way to another. And one day I just received an email from Forbes. To be honest, I thought it was spam. I almost deleted that email. Because it's a foreign entity, right? So she had this name, Rana something something something. I was like, okay, sounds spammy lah. I should just forget it. But something prompted me to just reply and just test it out lah. What harm could it do, right? And it became very, very real. I went through the entire interview process. They wanted to know what I ate for breakfast and lunch. I needed to take photos for them for the entire week. They were really auditing my lifestyle and my business as well. And well, lo and behold, 1 month later through the process, I found myself on the list with a lot of other amazing people.
And what was it about you that caught their attention? You must have done something amazing already. What was that?
Well, I did ask them this question, and there were a few things. One of them, they were looking for people that were active within the region. When I say active, meaning really making an impact, not just in business. So it's not just a monetary thing, although they did look at some of the financials, but they also look at what this individual is able to bring to the community. So they wanted somebody that's active in Asia, that is actively going around, impacting communities. And apart from all this, I tend to mentor startups quite a bit. So in Malaysia, I've always found startup events as well. And I think that's where word spread. That's why I say it's a compounding effect. It was not just one single thing, but multiple things that got accumulated towards this goal.
This is a very good insight, which means, right, while we are building our own expertise, we already have a certain area of knowledge that we have, right? We need to ask ourselves, how can we already start helping people with our knowledge? Likely association or communities.
No, that is a very good point, because my first stage, right, I still remember there was one of my stages where, you know, I was invited to speak at a similar event, and then they told me that, oh, usually we expect 40, 50 people to be here, you know. And I went in, and that became my smallest stage ever. And this was my early part of my journey. It was just 1 pax. So imagine I was invited, the organizers said, yeah, people to come, you know, this room will be filled, and I was there earlier, like, okay, so it's time, but still, maybe a bit late, you know, Malaysians, maybe a little bit late. I was waiting half an hour in, did I get the right data, you know? And at the end, there was just one guy that came, right? So you could imagine me being disappointed, me having a lot of doubts in my journey, because this started so early on, right? And then I was like, wow, is this really for me? Can I cope with this? Is every session going to be like that? Will I even make anything out of this? But I'm glad I carried through, and that one-on-one session that eventually actually became one of the pivotal moments of my entire speaking career. I'm still in touch with that one person. That one person right now, it's in the corporate side. I get invited very often to his company right now, giving speeches and all of that. So you never know, you talk about giving back to communities and really starting at the lowest of lowest.
Something to think about, right? Even audience of 1 is still okay. Because remember, best speech material is, your best marketing material is good speech.
That's right.
Okay, ask my question. We now know your background. What would be your first speech that you delivered? The very first paid speech?
The very first paid speech I got was in digital marketing. I think until today, I usually speak in just these 3 areas, whether it's in digital marketing, whether it's in emerging technology, or whether just my entrepreneurship journey. So prior to my first speaking gig, I was invited to a lot of talks that were related to entrepreneurship. It's about my journey, how I started at the age of 17, and somehow everybody's very intrigued by the idea of how an introvert suddenly can start businesses and then become a speaker. So maybe that's one of your questions in mind, but contrary to whatever you guys found online and this 200,000 people that I've spoken to, right, the old me in university, if you to know me, I'm the guy that never likes presentation. I'm the guy, right, when lecturer says, okay, group project, somebody needs to present, I'll be like, nope, not me. And when I'm forced to do it, I always tell my group mates, I'll just do the introduction and the conclusion, and that's it. So if there's somebody like you out here, like me, this is just a start. You can do greater things from where you're at right now. So if I can do it, you can.
And so cool, right? Client actually picked him because he started at 17 and he's an introvert. What did we learn today morning? Exactly. So he's speaking on entrepreneurship just like us, but his uniqueness, he started very young and that he's an introvert. Right? So very important to sell your USP. Okay, I'm done with questions. I only have one last question to ask. I'll wrap it up as the last question. The floor is yours. Who want to start the ball rolling? Okay, we'll keep the count until 6. So, yes, okay, first question. We'll run to you, microphone to you. Introduce yourself and then ask your question.
Hello, I'm Sui.
Hi, Sui.
It's just a very casual question. Do we need to wear sneakers like this to be a successful speaker?
So happen we have similar sneakers, huh?
Oh yeah, it's a white law.
Yeah, it's white law.
Exactly. Why you wear white?
I don't think it is lah. Good observation, but no, definitely not.
Maybe talk about your style. How do you end up with this style?
But it's interesting, you know, because when I first started speaking, well, it's definitely not like that. Because when I was much younger, at 17, 18 years old, I always tried to dress much older than me. Because nobody took me seriously. I remember walking on stages or even meeting clients back then where they would ask me this very random, but not so random question. They look at me and say, where's your father? Where's your father? That's the most common question I got. And back then, right, for the life of me, I couldn't understand why they were so interested to meet my dad. I always thought, I literally thought they were just being very friendly. But little did I know is that through the email conversations and all that, right, they were always expecting somebody much older, not younger. So when they see me, immediately my credibility is decreased by like 50%. I had to start from the bottom again to earn their trust. So back then I always try to put on a tie lah, comb my hair a certain way lah, just look that age.
Wearing lah. You do that? I saw mine. So I wear ring just so that I look older.
Yeah, literally just to do anything, right? So slacks weren't cool. I needed to wear slacks, button-on shirts, whatever to just whatever to just put on that additional few years to add to my advantage. So I learned that you really need to also dress your part. So as I mature into this profession, into my career as well, I realized that people started recognizing more for my expertise than just more than how I look. And that allows me to showcase a little bit more of who Jen really is than rather the Jen that they're perceived to be.
Love it. Alright. Question 2. Okay, go for it.
Hi Jen, I'm Gary.
Hi, Gary.
The question I have for you is, what is your biggest mistake thus far that you have made in your business, and how do you overcome it? And my last question is, what would you do if you have to start all over again?
This was a triple level question.
Oh, you wait till you saw the question original. Very good already. But maybe in the context of not business but speaking business, like as a speaker, right? What is the biggest challenge that you face?
I think one of the biggest challenges I face as a speaker is really, I know this word is very broad, but I will expand on it a little bit, is the level of unpreparedness. I think in every speaking life, right, there will reach a time where you think that you kind of have got it all. You have seen enough stages, you know what to expect. Maybe you have always been speaking on that one topic and you've done it maybe 10 times, 20 times, right? You go in confidently, only to find that you have overestimated yourself. And I think this relates to one particular stage I did. It was about 1,000 packs at that point of time, right? And I'm very confident in the topic. It's digital marketing. I've done it a million times. I can even just speak it as I'm asleep, you know. So, but when I went in there, right, I was caught off guard because I wasn't aware of who the audiences are. I wasn't aware of how the stage is being set up. I wasn't aware of the interaction that was expected out of the organizer. I went in thinking that I knew it all. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes I've made. I went in there not knowing that 1,000 packs were regional CMOs from different corporate companies. They were all there, not just to listen about, oh, how digital marketing can help my business or some normal marketing theories. They were there to really challenge. So I was expected to answer C-level marketing questions rather than just delivering a speech. And that was one of my worst speech ever. Right? I was stuttering, I was even partially frustrated of myself, at the same time trying to comprehend the questions and trying to just, you know, as a speaker, I believe that it's an advantage if you gain a lot of knowledge and understanding of who you're speaking to and where you're speaking at. The more you are familiar, the better the position you are in. Why? Because in that situation, right, physically I'm trying to orientate myself. Mentally, I'm trying to match that brainwave that's within the room. At the same time, I need to recall my slides, deliver my point. Not only that, I need to level up my slides on the spot because I was unprepared. And that is where I learned that tough lesson at Agent. Every stage is different. Take time to understand not just the technical aspects, but who you are speaking to. Why are they coming to listen from you? So many other speakers out there. Why are you chosen? Once you're able to nail that, that gives you a better footing into the session as well.
Well, the good news is you guys should not have that mistake because you have the pre-speech questionnaire. You all know that, right? So if the client fills it up, generally you should not have that. Should not happen.
That's what I learned after that. I needed a pre-speech.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. My God, so scary. How long were you on stage?
That was a 3-hour session.
3 hours of torture.
3 hours of very, very bad torture.
Did you sweat?
A lot. I mean, I was 22.
Okay lah, forgivable, 22.
I was melting, you know, when I hold the mic, right, it's like, wow, sweating, the mic was drenched with sweat. Yes, I was terrified.
Good. And I guess that if you were to reset, you would have a pre-speech questionnaire, right?
Yes, please.
Got it. Wow. This neighbor, question would like to ask? They have a whole list.
Hi Jen, Jeremy. My name is Jeremy. Okay, the question my table has is, what would you have been today had you not gone down the route of being a speaker?
Great question. To be honest, I don't think my business would have come this far without speaking. It's interesting.
Quotable quote.
It's interesting because the entire business, right, Open Minds, 12 years, helping all these amazing brands around the region, we only rely on two methods in terms of marketing. One is literally just referral, right? So one client refer to another, referral, word of mouth, that's a very common way of doing it, right? The second way is speaking. Most of the deals actually happen through speaking engagements alone. So if I would have never overcome my fear of going on stage and telling myself, I'm an introvert, I cannot do this, it's not me, I don't think the business has survived 12 years. Some of our most amazing deals actually happen on stages. So social media and all helps, right? I do get inquiries on Instagram and all that, but most of them stem from speaking engagement. So without that, I don't think I would have lasted 12 years, maybe 3 years tops, and I'll probably disappear somewhere.
Are you guys glad you're here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's dig further, okay? So, how do you secure those speaking gigs?
Okay, I think in the beginning, it's very different back then to now, right? But back then, it was literally just a mindset, I would just take up whatever gigs that fall on me. And there was one point of time in my speaking career, because I was doing so much I was just picking up whatever speaking opportunities, right? There was a veteran in the industry that came up and to give me some friendly speaking advice.
He's a speaker.
He's a speaker, a very well-known speaker as well, right? He came to me and he told me, Jen, I see you doing all these things, it's amazing, but you know what? To be successful, you only should pick gigs that pay you well. Meaning that you should only choose your clients, right?
Pick a niche.
Yeah, pick a niche, which I understand what he's trying to get to, but you know what? Retrospectively, I do believe that if I follow that advice to the dot, again, I'll be very limited. Because I recall myself at that point of time, I was nobody. I was a budding entrepreneur, I was trying to build a portfolio. If I were to be picky and to charge and to not go to those that didn't pay according to what I like, I would not be able to build my speaker portfolio. And I tell you, right, because in the early days, I spent so much time, especially in university. I still do now, speaking to university students. And just so you know, universities don't pay. Not a single cent. They tell you they give you exposure, but exposure means one Instagram post to an account that probably has 100 students following. That's about it, right? So it's kind of not worth much, but I tell you, this is where the amazing things happen, right? So I spent so much time with students. Some of these students graduate, and they still remember me. Some became my business partners until today. Some started businesses with me. I had one company, an Open Mind subsidiary in Kazakhstan. Right, so happened today, AirAsia had a partnership with Kazakhstan, right? They signed the MOU. But back then, I was there, right? And all this happened through connections made out of free speaking gigs. So I would say that, I think, especially you're starting to build a portfolio, you don't need to be overly picky. I know getting paid, that's the topic, right? To get paid. But I'm trying to also tell you that before even getting paid, there is a path that sometimes we go through, right? So I treated it as training, I treated it as exposure, I treated it as literally just putting myself out there to see how far can I go. After all, if it's a career I picked, why not?
And back then was how you decide the list of clients that you want to speak to. Do you message them one by one, or you wait for them to come to you?
The interesting thing is that none of my gigs were me pitching. All my speaking gigs were people reaching out to me rather than me offering out my services. That's why I always believe that speaking, if you speak consistently, it's a compounding effect, right? So as you take up stages, people get familiar with you, they see your names out there a little bit more, and that's where word of mouth actually starts to happen. So for me, because I don't build my entire career as a speaker, right? Speaking is seen as a marketing tool for me, for my business. I still do my consulting, I still do my other work. That is my rice bowl. So that's why when I approach speaking, I always see it as a marketing approach, and therefore my approach is a bit different.
Got it. I hope that answers your question. Okay, good.
Wow.
Let's go to this table. Let's see how many rounds we can go, okay? Let's go.
Can you share with us your top three areas? What's your strategies and habits that you do to attribute to your success today?
Oh, this one will take an entire session.
See lah, never listen lah. I told you already, what? Strategies and habits. That one will take us until tomorrow.
Strategies. that you have?
Maybe in the context of because they are aspiring speaker, what would be one strategy that you could share with them that could help them get paid to speak?
I think, okay, there is still few things, right? But I think one, if you're just boiling it down to just pure strategy, one of the main things I must say is that you should consistently put your expertise out there. I think a lot of business owners especially, right, they are great at what they are doing. They are experts, they are professionals, people within the industry may know them, but to build your portfolio as a speaker, that is not enough. You need to break beyond. And the only way to do that, right, is to actively create content. I eavesdrop a little bit on LinkedIn and Instagram and things like that, so that people recognize you for expertise and want to approach you for more. I think if you're able to, that consistent expertise, right, curation of expertise to the eyes of your audience, that actually helps you. Now, it sounds very simple, but that's why I say it can take an entire day, because it's the discipline that comes behind, right? How do you commit to this every day? How do you continuously dig deep to curate that content that's relevant, that's valuable to the audience? How can you speak to them so that they will see you as someone that they want to listen to you continuously? That is the part that's tricky.
Wow. So what would be your habit? Like till today, you've been doing this for a long time. What's your routine and habit in putting out content?
So one of the things that I do, right, is that I believe that sure, there is importance in setting aside time to create content, but I also believe that ideas and inspiration happen anytime, anywhere. Right? So what I do, I don't need any fancy app. I know some people have that, but all I do is I use the voice memo feature on my phone. Whenever inspiration strikes or I find something interesting, instead of even typing, I will just put into a voice memo. So I will just tell myself, sometimes I'm driving, and then suddenly, there's something, right? Instead of typing, I'll just put a voice memo. I just say whatever that comes to the mind at that point of time. Right? Whether I use it or I don't use it, that's fine. So I have an archive of what I call rainbows. Right, so an archive of rainbows that when I want to actually dig deeper, when I want to expand on it, I'll just go through this entire list again to see what sticks, what does not stick, and then I filter and organize once again.
Nice. Very good. That's how to be a thought leader, right? Consistent. Okay, I'm gonna jump to you guys. Oh, we started with you, right? Yeah, have you all asked a question? Yes, you did. The table at the back. Okay, go.
Right, so the question is, how do you remain a top thinker or speaker in the realm that you're speaking those three topics without losing momentum and motivation for this long journey?
Well, it's really have been a long journey, that's for sure. But I think one of the key things here, right, is that you genuinely need to have passion and belief in the topic that you represent. Right? It's very similar to a lot of professions that we represent. I hope that is something that you're passionate in as well. Because especially in digital marketing or in technology, things change extremely quick. So I employ a few things. Yes, self-study is very important, self-interest is very important, so you continue to grow on it. But what I like to do is also I build systems to force me to learn. So what I do, especially on a company level, right, I set in my calendar opportunities for team members to teach me things. Instead of me teaching them things, they teach me things. And in that meeting, they are aware that they need to share something new with me. Right? So that thing could be something that I already know, or even if I don't know, that would be a perfect opportunity for me to discuss and learn. And I like this method because number one, it allows me to block my calendar. Because it's a meeting, right? So it's not like I'm sitting down, nothing to do, browse through my iPad, oh okay, this is a new news, right? I still do that, but because if it's a meeting, I need to show up. And because I'm meeting my team, lucky I need to show up. I cannot skip on that, right? And when I'm there, that also forces me to listen. And this allows me to also listen from a breadth of different people, right? So I have team members in their 40s, 50s. I have people that fresh grad, 18, 20 years old, first job. And that gives me the breadth of learning. At the same time, in the company, I also put in what we call Resource Fridays. So that is basically Friday morning, everybody takes 45 minutes off their work, and everybody takes turn on a rotation basis to share an happening or an update of what happened within the industry. So basically, it's an environment for everybody to share, everybody to learn, and I benefit from it. So this way, it's not just me reading, but actively participating in whatever that's being shared by the team members as well.
Brilliant, huh? So if you can extend that to us, right? Now, of course, right now you are in your table randomly, your success squad. But over the year, when we meet up for community events, start looking for light-bringers, speakers that share similar theme with you. So for example, who are speaking on leadership? Raise your hand. Yeah, so the leadership group can come together and do something like sharing, like these are the latest trends. How many of you are in the mental health? There you go, so you can start grouping. I think that would be another way we can learn as well. Yeah? Can we do that still some time to ask 2 to 3 more questions? Okay, burning and then burning. Okay, we'll go with the blue one. Blue, what's her name? Vincent. We'll go with Vincent too, right? And then after that, we go to the back. Okay, go. Question.
Actually, I'm impressed by the challenge from the CMOs, your audience. Knowing that they may be more knowledgeable and intelligent, you know, how do you overcome the setback when you struggle?
Great question. To be honest, I think I was also a little bit fortunate. When I say fortunate, it's because of the industry that I was in. So digital and technology has always been seen like an industry led by younger people. So that was an advantage, right? So that's why I like what Eric said just now about USP, because what I found is that I could turn that lack within the marketplace of existing CEOs, the CMOs, the incumbents, into injecting my energy and my perspective towards technology. So for me, I was able to play that to my advantage, really positioning to tell them that, look, you guys are great strategists, right? You have your experience, you have run campaigns, you have millions of dollars. I may not have that, but what I can bring to you is a different thing. That is why when you look at the definition of my company, Open Minds, right? We are not a digital marketing agency. I think you hear that a lot in the industry, right? But we position ourselves as marketing tech consultants, MarTech, in short. And we've been doing this since the beginning of time. Today, the term is a little bit more understood, but back then, right, people couldn't understand, and that became a conversation starter. Like, Jen, what is a MarTech consultant? What do you do? I want to hear from somebody that's able to integrate marketing and technology in the same conversation. So that became a conversation starter, and that was also one of the few bases that got me invited to that stage.
Very good.
Thank you, Eric, for allowing me to ask.
No problem.
Thank you. I think we are so blessed, heard 2 speakers, but I also felt that we are a bit stingy on the applause. We must give speaker applause.
A lot of people's hearts. Hey, what's your question?
Thank you, sir. My question will be 2.
Oh, no wonder you asked everybody to clap for you. You got 2 questions. Okay, go.
Thank you. What are the books you have recently read, especially investment? Because with your wealth, I'm sure you invest in more than one sector, isn't it? So what are the investment portfolio that you have made, and the advice you want to give us? Some, of course, make good profits. Some may have what you call cause a dent to your wallet. So what are the investment advice you want to give to all us?
Okay, I'm going to cut that. You can share with him privately. We keep the context to speaking. Okay, but I get you. Investment is interesting.
Okay,
speaking.
Sorry,
Yes.
investment is excluded. Okay, speaking.
Next question.
What about the books you have read that enhance your ability to speak more effectively?
Okay. Go.
Okay, I don't believe there's one particular book that made me speak more effectively.
Oh, you haven't read Get to the Point, is it?
Actually, I didn't.
Oh my God, I will bless you with one. Okay, go.
Have you read Building Your Network?
Of course, that's how I know you.
Okay.
I read his book. Okay. Okay, go.
No, but to be honest, I don't think there's one book. But if you ask me where did I draw most of my inspiration of speaking, right? It's actually Steve Jobs. I rewatch countless times his Apple keynote launches. Now, because of that, my circle of friends always call me an Apple fanboy. But I really love how he is able to present. Now, if you don't believe me, go back tonight, right? Just go on YouTube. Don't look for the Tim Cook ones, right? Look for the Steve Jobs one. How he launched the iPhone, how he launched the iPad, how he launched the App Store, right? Don't just focus on the product. Look at how he delivers it on stage. look at the choice of words he used, look at how he walks on stage, how he illustrates the product, I thought that was mind-blowing. I remember the first presentation that I saw for Steve Jobs, right, was the iPad presentation. And that totally changed my perspective towards speaking. Because in my head, right, speakers are either the boring lecturer types one, right, because we grew up in the environment, right, those are so-called speakers and then, oh, every lecture. And then you have the motivational ones, you know, like Eric, like Tony Robbins, you know, they are the ones on stage, very high-powered. And I couldn't find myself fitting in either as an introvert, right? But when I saw how Steve Jobs were able to deliver something that's so boring, it's just a piece of gadget. Other companies do it as well, Nokia at that point of time, Microsoft at that point, BlackBerry at that point of time, right? But somehow he was able to attract attention through his storytelling, through how he's able to so-called condense complicated technology into very simple human terms that resonates. And I took that to heart. I think until today, that is one of the main reasons why corporates or organizations engage me, because they find that I'm able to simplify complicated technology and marketing terms into literally very simple, human, understandable action items.
USP.
And that attracts attention. And that is why it's less of a book, but really the Steve Jobs videos that made the turning point in my speaking career.
Coincidentally, next week is going to be Speechcraft. We are actually using Steve Jobs' speech,
Nice.
MacBook Air.
MacBook Air is also a good one.
Now,
Yes.
don't spoil it for them, but
Yeah.
we'll use that to introduce the framework of speaking. So you're in for a treat. Oh, love it. Okay, one or two more questions before I wrap up. Any other final question you must ask? Anyone? No? So good. Okay, right. Okay. I think beside you, your buddy also wants to ask. Maybe let her ask first. But you all represent the same table, so it's okay. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Jan, have you ever felt unmotivated to deliver a motivational speech?
All the time. I say that, right, because I think it's impossible, physically and emotionally possible to be motivated at all times, even if you are in this full time, right? Why I say that is also because, like me, I mentioned that speaking is a marketing tool, right? That means that on my day-to-day, 80% of my brain power is about solving problems, talking to clients, trying to get the company in shape together. I need to listen to the Hong Kong party, I need to look to Singapore. And my main brain space is filled with so many other things, and the last thing on the list is being motivated so I can motivate others. Right? But I think as a speaker, I've always practiced this. There's some spiritual element to it, but I've always practiced this, right? And the first thing that I always tell myself to do before taking the stage is to pause. And when I say pause, it's not just to pause and stop thinking, but it's to pause and tell myself, look, I'm here, this is what I need to solve first. So whatever that's causing me to feel that form of unmotivatedness, I'll need to address it and capture it. Why am I feeling unmotivated? Is it because somebody told me something this morning? Is it because of the client just now? I just got off a very tough call. What is it? Right? So to pause to address that. Right? Once I have that in place, then I want to then remind myself of my purpose. Why am I speaking in the first place? Whatever the reason, whether it's money, whether it's to impact people, I find myself needing to come back to why am I doing this? Why did I say yes to this stage in the first place, right? If I don't like motivating people, why did I say yes to motivating talk? I should go somewhere else. That 1 hour, that 3 hours, we're well spent somewhere. Why did I do this? And then finally, that's where the spiritual element come in. I pray lah. So it's actually 3 P's, unintentionally. Pause, purpose, pray. Before taking up the stage. That always helps me.
Something to add as well, because after doing it for a while, you'll always be sharing the same stories, and it can get boring. But a year ago, that means last year, we had a speaker that passed away right after a speech. So, and the speech was immortalized because he was scolding all the students, right, in a loving way. He's like, why y'all never do your work? I'm not always going to be here to nag at you. You all need to do your work, you know. Oh my God, he said that. And then after that, he had a heart attack, and then he passed away. Yeah. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, like, it could be my last, God knows, I'm flying back later, this could be my last speech. So whenever I tell myself that this could be my last speech, I give it my all. Because I really do not want you guys to record something and I was just half-assed about it, and that was my last speech. Yeah, so I hope that helps you as well. Right? Imagine that this is your last speech, how would you want to deliver it? Because to you, it may be the 100th speech, but to that audience, it's the first time they're listening to you, and somehow they're being placed there at the right time, right moment to listen to your message to solve a problem of their season. There's no coincidence. The fact that all of us today are here, no coincidence.
I agree with that, because when I talk about purpose, that is actually my purpose. You know, the main reason for me starting to speak, of course, the business and all of that, right? But underlying is actually just a promise that I've made to myself. You know, when I started at the age of 17, I mentioned some of the challenges, right? The young age set me back a little bit, the lack of experience set me back a little bit as well, my personality set me back a bit as well. And I was actually back then really trying to seek help, like who can coach me, who can help me, and somehow nobody did. There was no Eric at that point of time, right? This was like 12, 13 years ago, right? I think that was probably when you also first started, maybe?
16 years, yeah, just started actually.
Just started, right? But that time, many people were very stingy of mentorships, right? And then courses were like, wow, exorbitant amount of fees. At 17, 18 years old, I can't afford things like that. So I made a promise to myself, and that became the purpose that I was sharing. I made a promise to say that if I were to one day be invited to speak, no matter how many people is in the room, as long if I can impact just one person, I will say yes.
We give you a big round of applause for that. That's beautiful.
That has always been my motivation to say yes. So there are times where I really don't want to do it. Just last week, I was invited to speak to a university in UK, and because of time difference, I needed to start the session at like 10 p.m. I was like, oh, 10 p.m. It's been a long day. I really wanted to last minute cancel of them, but again, these 3 P's came, right? And to me, it's like I just needed to do it, and apparently it was the best speech of the entire week for them. And yeah.
I think this is a great way to put a pause to our conversation. But has it been really helpful for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah? So let's give Jen a big hand.